There we go. So, if you would just like to introduce...
Interview with Luke Hall, February 16th, 2016, 18, 19. Don't know.
So yeah, just start off by introducing yourself as you've just done then. How long you've been here for and what is your position?
Okay, so my name is Luke Hall. I've been an adult volunteer with the Scouts for 5 years. And I'm currently Scout leader in Southampton, and I've had this position since September 2013.
And were you in Scouts before this? Were you a Scout yourself?
I was as a kid. I think I was a beaver for oh no, I need to look at somebody.
It's fine, you can look away.
I'm sure you're interested as well. I was a beaver for about 3 weeks, I think. I remember going to beavers close to home for like 3 weeks and that was it. I don't know why we left. I just think we tried it out and it was like, alright, but we didn't go back. And then I was a cub for a while longer with my mates, and I don't know why we stopped. I remember going for about a year, but I don't know why we suddenly stopped going. And then I was a scout but a different group, from year 7, so I was being like 11 up to 16. So I stayed, when I was a scout, I stayed in it till I left Scouts at 16.
So you managed to go through all of them, but it just
but I did leave a bit early. I think I still had about 6 months left, but we left. A bunch of my mates were like, "Yeah, we're too cool for this," and we stopped.
So what kind of got you involved in Scouting? Like you just mentioned your friends. Is that what got you into it, or more parents, or?
Yeah, a lot of my friends joined before me, and then they were talking about it at school. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." So then that's when I asked to join, and yeah, I loved it. I didn't do like team sports as a kid, so I think it suits a lot of kids that don't necessarily like team sports.
So it got you out and about then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you remember your first camping experience with Scouts? Or as a beaver or as a cub?
It was a scout. I didn't camp as a beaver or a cub. Yeah, we went, I don't know where it was near Poole, because we went on a kayak, we did like a day kayak excursion like around near Brownsea Island. So yeah, I remember our first camp was there, it was great.
So you've been involved with Scouting for a while now. So what has kept you here? Why do you stay here as a leader?
Oh, good point. Why do I stay? Why do I stay? If things that I do, and if they go well, then that encourages me to keep doing it. So if I'm enjoying myself and I can see success and I can look back. When I first involved in this group, we only had 7 kids, and now we're at like 26, 27. So I like seeing progress over time, and
We like seeing the group kind of grow.
Exactly, I like seeing growth. I like seeing achievement. And when things are going well, that kind of spurs me on to keep doing it. If I'm not doing, if I'm at work and I'm not having a good time at work, I end up doing less at work. Whereas with Scouts, if Scouts is going well, and it drives me to keep doing it. I think that's why.
Very committed.
But again, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it, and I do enjoy it.
So, what do you think kind of pushes kids through? You talk about the growth in the group. You start off with 7 children.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why do you get more kids coming through? What do you see with the kids they're joining? Why do you think they come and join you? I
think I'm very paranoid on people's kind of perceptions of what we do, and I would get paranoid if we weren't doing a good job, and people talking about us not doing a good job, saying, "Oh, Scouts is rubbish, isn't it?" Blah blah. Yeah, I think little Johnny's going to stop going. I would just get paranoid that would happen. So that kind of drives me to try and be the best at what we're doing. Yeah, and I think the kids, I don't. Before I was the leader, the other guy before us, it wasn't very structured, and the kids can see that. I think what drives the kids to keep coming back is that they know what they're doing, they know what they're achieving down the line. It's not just like, oh, what we're doing at Scouts this week. It's all a surprise. They know what journey they're on to get their Chief Scout Gold Award or to do a camp that we've got coming up. I think as soon as you start trying to bullshit them and say, oh yeah, we're just making it up as we go along, they know. I think if you've got a good structured programme, if you're pushing them to be outside their comfort zones especially, so that you're challenging them, if there's no challenge, you're like, oh, it's easy, just going to turn up. I think you've got to have an element of challenge there, so they're feeling that they're achieving and they're doing more than what they would normally. Then I think that drives them to get back, and it's fun. I think if we weren't having fun, they wouldn't want to come either.
Wouldn't want to come back. Do you think scouting has changed while you've been here, and from when you were a scout, perhaps? From the things you do, perhaps, or the way it works, maybe?
I think it's so tricky to find out what works, and I think so many groups work differently. So some groups work as like very traditional and strict, and the kids will go marching, and they're and all be very traditional, like Andy, you know, very quite strict and very. He doesn't look like he's having fun. He probably does enjoy it, but I don't want to be. And I think that's a good thing about scouting, is there are so many different ways that you can lead.
It's one of those sorts of competition.
Yeah, it's always very competitive. I don't see scouts. The only person who's been in competition with is yourself. That you are trying to beat yourself as how you were before. So you're in competition with how you were last year to push yourself. I don't like being in competition with other people. Yeah, but I do get that some groups do run differently. So I think the group is shaped by the young people in the group, and if they want it to be more like a youth club, then we'll probably take that more kind of direction. If they want it to be strict and that they want to just do scout skills and competitions, then we will take that direction as well. I think it's quite hard to figure out what works best, but I think that in time we're constantly evolving. When I was first involved in this group, it was very much you know, shouting if you haven't got your shirt tucked in, you do 10 press ups, and you should always have scout trousers and a scout belt, and you should have black shoes. And you know, we've adapted since then. I do worry that we would get too much like a youth club.
So you think
but
that
I think
kind of previously they've been quite like traditional and stuck to their values, whereas now you see a lot more of this kind of youth driven, obviously with the Million Hands campaign coming up.
But
it's
I
very
think
youth driven.
I think that scouting definitely, not for everybody, but for a lot of groups, they're moving from that very kind of like, oh, everyone wearing a scout uniform and looking all very out of date to something that's a lot more trendy and cool, with Bear Grylls and Hannah Kenditch and all those kind of younger role models. I think it's starting to be seen as something that's more
current.
That's more current and relevant to young people as it had been. I think it's improving, but I think different different groups are going to do it differently. But as long as it's shaped by the young people, I think that could be a good thing.
Yeah. When you look at the kind of kids you have in your group specifically, do you see a growth in them? So when you look at your scouts when they first come here to when they leave on the last night, what kind of changes do you see in them?
I think that's the biggest drive, and I think that's the kind of I think, you know, I see that in myself as well. When I was a kid, scouts gave me so much, and I think shaped me in a way. And it's often the kids that are that little bit probably not as cool as some of the others that you see more of a change in. But I think things that stand out are when we've had kids that are just like scared of everything and then have really excelled themselves, or kids that were scared of the dark and have gone caving. It's like, I remember when we did that and Lizzie was in tears, but at the end she was just like amazed that she did it. When we did that cycle ride with Chloe, it's like, what an achievement for her. What an achievement. And you're just installing that kind of sense that instead of thinking I can't do this, you can think actually I can.
Changing attitude.
And it's building, you know, I think it's really important that we're building resilience, we're building that kind of self-belief that that I see as a huge gap in like the rest of the education system. So
initiative as well.
Yeah, initiative, leadership, resilience is a big one for me. And just kind of challenging yourself and being surprised at what you can do.
It's interesting you use the word resilience and initiative, where companies like PGL, when they sell their activity days and stuff, they talk about boosting confidence and stuff. You're talking about another pool of things. Building resilience, I mean, that's a massive thing in terms of futures, don't you think? In terms of jobs and just daily life.
Yeah.
It's more appropriate. So obviously you're aware of what I was doing as part of my degree, so looking at outdoor education, the benefit of that. So there's been a lot of work around education and its benefits and the risks. What benefits or risks do you see when it comes to scouting? When you look at your kind of like camps, the day activities you do, your night evening activities, do you see there's, you know, do the risks outweigh the benefits? Do the benefits outweigh the risks?
Yeah, of course, with risk, you don't, okay, I think a world without risk is just crazy. because at some point you've got to realise that if you cut your finger, it hurts, and you wrap it up in a plaster and you won't cut it again because you'll be more careful with a knife. Or I remember little Ben burnt himself on when we were doing some outdoor cooking. It's like, if that risk wasn't there, he'll never learn that if you touch something that's hot, it's going to hurt. And that you learn from that. The biggest fear is that sort of if there's too much risk and something was to go wrong, kind of how would I live with myself? If someone was to break an arm, or God, what if someone got like really badly disfigured or killed? You kind of think, is it worth putting in risk when you're doing a job for free? And you kind of think, well, not really, but without risk, you can't challenge yourself, you can't grow, you can't learn by mistakes. How does a baby learn to walk? It falls over a gazillion times. And I definitely think we're in a society where there's not enough risk. As long as the risk is low, then
manageable.
And manageable, yeah.
Do you think parents have the same view as you, the parents of the children you may have here, when you talk about risk and stuff? Do you think they...
I think they do, because otherwise I don't think they would send their kids on camps. If they didn't think we look after them very well, they wouldn't have sent them co-steering. And oh goodness me, little Ben doing that. He was, again, so brave. There's a picture of him jumping in the water.
I dragged him.
Just kind of like, yeah.
He was like just dead.
He was proper dead.
To clarify, he wasn't actually dead.
No, he wasn't.
No, but he was just like, I had no energy myself. And to think, he's tiny. And they were mega.
Do you ever get parents that are concerned, like, do parents text you, message you while the kids are on your camps? Do parents worry before, after?
I think we certainly put them at ease by having the Facebook groups and keep them up to date. Don't get me wrong, we have had instances which we haven't actually had any, we've never had to go to hospital actually, but we have had near misses, and those near misses we have, followed up and changed our approach going forward. But it's when you get those near misses and you're like, shit, that could have been really bad. We are, I wouldn't say lucky, but you kind of think like that.
Something for next time.
That could have gone worse, and that's when you question yourself: was it worth doing that activity at all?
Moving on to kind of Bear Grylls, which you mentioned earlier on, being Chief Scout. He published an article last year which said scouting helps children embrace adventure and succeed in life. What do you think about that statement? Is that something you agree with? Something you disagree with?
I absolutely agree with that. Succeeding in life is about taking risks. Succeeding in life is about believing in yourself more. And if it means that you're going to go for a job interview you didn't think you'd get, if it means that you ask a girl out that you didn't think you were good enough for, then and you kind of got that kind of better self-belief, or more kind of belief that I can do this, or you can challenge yourself, then I think that's great, and there can be all sorts of positive repercussions.
How do you think of him as a Chief Scout?
He's great. I think he's a good role model. I think he gets a bit of stick because he has a commercial interest in a lot of things that he does, but it doesn't stop the fact that he's a very good role model for young people. He's all about adventure and stretching yourself and doing scary things and being brave. He's great.
Definitely agree with that. Looking back at your own childhood and maybe the children you have here as well.
Now it's like therapy.
Do you think your parents are different to how parents maybe are now in terms of the things you did in scouting, the activities you may have done outside of scouting? Do you think your parents...
I don't think they cared. I think they're just like, he wants to do that, it's good that he's doing something instead of playing video games.
Do you think parents now have the same kind of attitude?
Well, I think back then, parents would send their kids off to scouts and be like, do you have a good night? Yeah, fine. Whereas now, I think because we promote what we do and we show the parents what we get up to, when the parents picked up their kids from summer camp, it's like, wow, we can't believe all the things you've done. When we post things on the Facebook group, they're like, oh, that's great. And I think I've had conversations with parents where they're just saying, Scouts is the best thing that they signed their kid up for, and they didn't realise it at the time. They're just like, it was so great that this came along, because I don't think necessarily everyone knows about it anyway. Because groups don't always publicise themselves very well. It's kind of thing, if you ask about Scouts, you'll find out about it. But otherwise, just kind of think, I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, I forgot about that. They kind of thought it existed in the 70s and just forgot about it.
How do you think people hear about scouting now? So the children you get coming to ask you, you know, can I join? Where do you think they're hearing about it? Is it through word of mouth, or is it online? Where do you think you get your...
Oh, it's from their friends.
From their friends.
Again, that is another thing that spurs me on. If we're doing a good job, and the kids, rather than hiding it from their friends at school, you know, they're in a state where they can't help but promote what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go on a camp and they love it, then they go to school and they can't help but say, guess what I did at the weekend? Then that's great. It's great that it's getting young people talking about it, educating more of the young kids that scouting is a cool thing to do. And yeah, when we get people knocking on our door saying, hey, we found out about this, can my kid join? And it's great. It's just a shame that we're at a point now where we can't
Kind of running out of space.
anymore.
Well, that was fantastic. I'm going to cut that one off there.
Cool, so what his messages are.